Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to Texas McCombs Homecoming. I am Christine Burdell, the Director of Alumni Relations here at the McCombs School, and it's great to have you all come out today for the kickoff to our homecoming long weekend. And I'm looking forward to seeing so many more alumni and friends throughout the week as we, have different programs each day. I'm really happy to be able to introduce Interim Dean Lil Mills, who is here to kick off homecoming and share a school update with all of us. Dr. Mills joined Texas McCombs in 2006, and over the past 14 years, she has not only been a top-ranked researcher, but also a beloved faculty member, having received dozens of teaching awards. Prior to becoming dean, she served as the chair of the accounting department from 2011 to 2015. And notably, she raised funds for an initiative for underrepresented minority accounting students and also for MPA scholarships directed to tax scholars. We're so lucky to have Dean Lil Mills leading the McCombs School. And Lil, thank you so much and welcome, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks so much, Christine. It's just wonderful to be here for homecoming. At the McCombs School of Business, we have a supply chain of talent that is 100,000 alumni, and I'm going to do all I can while I'm serving as dean to connect you across the generations, the people who are on boards of directors helping the up and comers into that position, and those of you in your 30s and 40s reaching down a hand to our current students with jobs. So I want to start with some leadership updates. That's on the, yes, we have President J Hartful. I expect you were waiting with me all summer, wishing the regents could hurry up. I am so pleased that our colleague Jay is the president of University of Texas because he has two attributes I value so much. He is an innovator who has launched all kinds of excitement across campus, and he has such a warm and moderate temperament, and that seems like something that's very much needed as we try to bridge people together in a challenging year in 2020. So I'm just really proud that Jake's my boss and that he's one of ours. We have launched two searches simultaneously. We have an interim provost, a famous astronomer, Dan Jaffe, who wants to go back to the faculty as soon as we can find his replacement. And just last week, we've launched the search for the McCombs dean. And in both cases, they're hiring a search firm. That's a headhunter to some of you. And these headhunters are well connected across the academy nationally. And in addition, President Hartzell says that internal candidates are welcome to apply. And the process is, the faculty themselves elect 5 members. The president appoints 2 other faculty members from elsewhere on campus, typically a dean of another college that would understand the McCombs School, and another faculty member he trusts, and then appoints other people that represent constituents the president needs to hear from. That would typically be some very trusted staff members, maybe a graduate student and an undergraduate student, and certainly some key alumni, because the dean's role is somewhat largely outward facing, embracing alumni with warmth and selling the strategy and vision for the school. We have a wealth of talent inside, as I'm about to discuss, but it's important to get our alumni stakeholders giving the president advice about a dean appointment. My sense of timing is it's going to take November to convene a committee and write a job description, and then both internally and externally, faculty and headhunting people will be trying to get people to apply. They ought to be able to call the applications in January, do 10 or so Zoom meetings by February, and I would expect by early March, we're down to 2 or 3 front runners, and those candidates interview in person on campus with a variety of stakeholders. So I am hopeful by spring break we'll have a dean announcement, but certainly by the end of March, early April, I think that is doable, in part because the McCombs School is doing so well, both across campus and nationally and globally. We're in good shape and way better shape than in the last financial crisis. And we are in the state of Texas, which is open for business in a way that not everywhere is. And that also contributes to our economic strength in the school. So I think this is going to be a highly attractive job, and I think it'll be easy to fill. We've had some leadership transitions since a year ago when then Dean Hartful spoke to the alumni. We have hired into a new position of Chief Operating Officer and created a new Senior Associate Dean title. Caitlin Mullaney, we hired away from Vanderbilt, and she now has under her the business affairs, the computer services, the human resources, and it's a big operational and facilities umbrella, and she's equal to the task, but she is an accountant, served with a Big Four, with a real estate firm, then with Hilton Hotels Properties. And it's important that we have someone with her skill set because, as you know, we have an AT&T Executive Conference Center and Hotel, and we're about to embark on a new and exciting building project. And so not only does she have the internal skills we need, I think she can help us navigate our ambitions beautifully. So I hope you get to meet Caitlin Mullaney very soon. We just in the last week or two appointed permanently as the Associate Dean for MS programs, Jade DeKender. She is a marketing professor. She's in an instructional faculty member, doctorally qualified and giving herself full-time to this service role. And she is leading the MS marketing program, and now in her new Associate Dean role is over all of our other one-year master's programs, which are just booming. We have promoted to our Chief Development Officer, Wendy Anderson. I hope many of you have met her. The energy in connecting me to alumni is very welcome. I keep telling Wendy in the development and relations, the employer relations department, that if I can just get 2 or 3 or 4 hours a day with alumni, it's a really great day, and Wendy's doing a good job. And we promoted to a senior assistant dean role, Janet Wong, and she now has spread her wings over the entire career management system, not just graduate or just undergraduate, because some of our strong relations with employers, employers come and the undergrads aren't competing with the grad students. It's the employers want different students for different jobs. And we've put in her shop the corporate and external relations group. And so we've got really great synergies. I mentioned again that supply chain of talent. She and I are working with the Texas X's on a hooked in program. Think about scraping LinkedIn into hooked in if you have a Longhorn connection. We're really hoping we can create better mentoring relationships. And so please look for invitations from the Texas X's to give permission for your LinkedIn profiles to be part of hooked in. And this is a little sad, but I prefer to look at the upside. McCombs trains future leaders, and the University of Maryland just appointed as its new dean, Associate Dean for Instructional Innovation, Prabhadev Kanana, who really lifted us through COVID over the summer and into a very successful fall education. Not only has he been helping us think about innovations over the 5 and 10-year horizon, but he was the guy first feet on the ground because his specialty is data analytics. He mustered the colleagues together to help us with the pivot to online and then hybrid education. So we'll miss Prabadev very much, but we're very proud that the McCombs School is a place that grows leaders that other schools want to use. So the next slide is the reach we're moving toward. If you are an MBA graduate or have been on our campus lately, you'll know that the rolling hall where our MBA students are is just first-class modern facility that facilitates engagement. Our GSB building, where the dean's office sits, is from 1980, and the old CBA North, where all the faculty offices are, gosh, the bones of that building, I think, go back to the 1950s. What we need is a space that provides opportunities for connection and innovation, and we're doing well. As of this week, we've raised $89 million toward the 135 that we need to break ground. There's a new vice president of campus planning, David Darling, who is a visionary about how the McCombs buildings of the new Mulva Hall and the new Hildebrand Hall can provide benefits to the whole campus, and he's willing to think a little bigger than anyone had been before. So I'm being a little cagey and vague because we are still working out additional plans, but if there's some sort of alumni event in the spring, I expect to have much more to report at that point. I think we've about picked out architects and engineers, and it really does help to have President Hartful up in the tower because I think it is helping this building project move to the front of the queue. So if you want to help support that building, please get in touch. We would love your help. I want to talk a little bit about money. You have an interim dean who is an accountant, and so thinking about that doesn't scare me any. I'm starting on the cost side because that's how we think about what's our budget. It's because much of this is fixed cost. You'll see a third of it is in faculty salaries, about 25% in staff salaries. And here I want to compliment our staff. We are a highly ranked university because we need all of it together. We do exciting, well-cited, transformative research. Just in the last couple of weeks, there were at least 3 citations of our professors' work in the Wall Street Journal and another one in Bloomberg News. We're doing great research. We love teaching. You see in our rankings for our programs, our degrees, we're doing really well. And I also want to say the staff are part of that extra special sauce because we are providing career management, academic advising, community building for the students, and it takes a big village to put that entire degree plan together. So we have about 25% in staff salaries, maintenance and operation. First, it's an old building. Second, technology. We need to be replacing computers regularly, quickly. The maintenance costs us something. We devote money back to scholarships. It's part of why the Regents let the university raise tuition, is to guarantee part of that money goes back into scholarships. And then I view that 7% tuition fees as somewhat of a tax. The McCombs School has some revenue generating programs. primarily in our Master of Science programs, and some of that money gets taxed to support other avenues of excellence across the university. This is very common that a business school is asked to contribute part of its resources to help the rest of the college. And then 11% is another. I want to go to revenues though, because that's where the state legislature is likely to have an effect at the University of Texas and the McCombs School. About 23% of our budget is strict institutional support. That's our share of the tuition for our 4,000 plus undergraduates, and some direct grants. The state legislature also just sends some money to the University of Texas, and some of it comes to McCombs. We also get some tuition differentials. The professional schools in law, engineering, and business are able to charge a little more than the rest of campus, and so that's a revenue source to us. What we're predicting for not this fiscal year, but the year after, is that the McCombs School will be asked to cut its recurring budget. And by recurring, it means something that the university considers more like a guaranteed flow of income from them to us. And so we're going to take this 1.2 to 1.7 million recurring cut, probably in the share of differential tuition they were letting us keep. What we've been using that for in large part is supporting scholarships or discounts from the rack rate, partly in the MBA program, to make sure we have a competitive MBA where we can get students who also have offers at premium MBA programs, and achieve diversity of thought where we have all kinds of people in those programs. I am confident that we can continue that support because our MS programs are so strong and are much higher enrolled than they were even a year ago. Our executive education was on track for its best year ever in March, when all of a sudden it had a little bit of a softening. And what I'm told is it's coming back online. So if you're at a company looking for first-class education taught by McCombs people, I hope you'll give our executive education group a call. We are beginning to bring some of those custom programs back in person at the AT&T Executive Conference Center, although most of our offerings like this today are still remote and available on Zoom. And then we earn money on our endowments. That's below 5% in the rate of return they provide to us, but it's a steady stream of income. We're quite grateful. And then, gosh, 4% individual and corporate contributions. The 4% is the annual amount. So I'm not counting in this the 89 million we've raised for the building. That's endowment money that goes into a corpus. I'm saying to all of you, I'm grateful that there's 4% of just annual giving that contributes to our budget. So particularly last spring, McCombs alums were so generous to a UT need, the Student Emergency Services. And gosh, that was a great place for you to dedicate some of your money. This 4% represents money you send straight to whatever your favorite department was, your favorite program, the place where you think it will do the most good for a future student or a favorite professor. Okay, let's move on. During COVID, I think we've done as well as we could have expected to. We moved everything online instantly. I've seen the course instructor surveys. At the end of the spring, they were as good as they've ever been. In general, the students thought the faculty were trying to take care of them and meet their needs. And we spent the summer planning for the fall launch. And we had more than 30 meetings like this among all of the faculty. And one of the silver linings was how collegial the faculty were with each other, because we can otherwise get in a little silo. I spend all my time with tax researchers in the accounting department. This need to learn how to teach online and even dual modality, where some of you are online and some of you are in person in the classroom, it was an all hands on deck situation. And the less secure professors were learning from people who had been teaching online previously. No one was thinking about what rank are you or what department are you. And so in a year where maintaining collegiality is hard in your work environments and hard in ours, the need and the deep desire to deliver to our students was actually a mission that brought us all together in a very strong way. And I'm quite proud of our faculty. Back in May, 75% of the colleagues said they were willing to teach in person. As you know, in Travis County, the infection rates were spiking in July, and that bled down a little bit. But I would still say McCombs was more willing to be in person than we could achieve given health and safety guidelines. So a little less than 50% of our classes can be taken in person. So it's a hybrid mode. We spent $400,000 in state-of-the-art display equipment, better computer equipment, so that if you were remote on Zoom and the professor were in class with a third to half of your classmates, the professor wasn't looking at a tiny Hollywood Squares image on a laptop, but had a display where he could, or she could, much more effectively interact with the students. I won't say it's not bumpy from time to time. It is still not as, we miss seeing students in person. And I think about a third of our students might still be in Dallas and Houston and elsewhere statewide and nationally, because rent is expensive. And this looked like a year one could live at home, save the rent, and progress your education. 2/3 of our McCombs students seem to be living in town. Not all of them come to class every single day because they now have the option to participate remotely. And I think that's something we're going to have to figure out how to crack that nut as we pivot to the spring, which will look like the fall. And if you've got kids on campus, tell them to come to class, like with their bodies, bring their bodies to class. But we're doing everything we can to have it be as high and rich an experience as possible. All of our student services, however, have gone completely virtual. That's really a health and safety matter. We don't want 4,000 students all in tight quarters in and around the hallways for career and academic advising. I think some of it's got silver linings. Office hours can now be in the evening. Students love it. I think post-COVID, it's going to stay that way. Okay, well, I'm going to use my last 5 minutes to talk about where we're going on our strategic goals. And thankfully, I glanced at the Q&A down at the bottom. There's only one question I haven't seen yet. And I'll come back to that question. We have 4 strategic pillars. We want to speak on a global stage. We want excellence at every touch point. We always want to be focused on the future, and we want to strengthen our academic community. On the global stage, we have a chief marketing officer in Emily Reagan. And one of the things she was doing about the Texas McCombs brand recognition was checking how our brand was playing in our key cities. And I probably can't name them all, but I'll name a few. New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, London, um, Hong Kong, and we are building brand fast in those major markets. And we have programs that try to help place kids, and specifically we have very active programs in New York and San Francisco. We had a great year recruiting, and the provost is going to let us keep hiring faculty. And together with my chief marketing officers group, we are trying to help our professors get their expertise more and more out into the news. If you want to help support that effort to retain and hire the best faculty, we would certainly welcome it. Gosh, our MBA program climbed a slot in the rankings. The MS programs, accounting is still #1. I think MSBA is #3. The BBA rankings are #5, I think. And our MS cohorts are growing fast. So we had record high applications, and so we grew the enrollments this summer. This is a common thing when the financial situation is a little down, that people use a year to increase their education. That's helping our financial stability this year. And we're busy building or raising money so that we can build Mulva Hall and Hildebrand Hall. We're evaluating, can we move our MS Business Analytics online and other online opportunities, either for credit or certificate type programs with executive education. And we've got a great brand that we can take advantage of. We're evaluating what our competition is doing. And then one of the things President Hartful was so innovative about was cross-campus collaborations, and our entrepreneurship minor is going gangbusters. And here inside McCombs, we have the John Brumley Texas Venture Labs, we have the Herb Kelleher Center for Entrepreneurial Research. The entrepreneurship group is cooperating or partnering with the Kendra Scott Well Institute. Again, that's a cross-campus collaboration. We have a Center for Leadership and Ethics. Inside that is also some work around sports management and sports analytics. And both of these efforts can still use a little bit more financial support. If either of those excite you or anything else you see, please reach out to us. I am not myself going to talk much about diversity and equity and inclusion, because as I'm coming to the end of my time, the next segment on this very same Zoom channel is an entire panel about McCombs and diversity, equity, and inclusion. What I do want to tell you is I've been working in that space for at least a decade from the Department of Accounting. And one of the things I feel very honored to be the interim dean in the summer of 2020, where issues of inclusion and equity have additional resonance. And again, trying to listen to needs or to pain and bridge that with what is the right place for Texas, because we should be the #1 public business school in the country. And part of what's going to elevate us there is the diverse demographics of the state of Texas, because corporate America wants to be able to put a diversity of thought in all of their teams. And the state of Texas, my gosh, we graduate thought leaders that represent a wide variety of Americans. And when we can get permission to admit them, foreign nationals, we just graduate a huge team of talent here. And Christine, I am running out of time. The one Q&A I saw was, is McCombs considering non-traditional candidates to the dean role, staff and others? The quick answer I'll give there is that the search committee will decide that. They will write a job description, and it should be fairly clear in that job description how big a deal it would be for the person to be someone that at least earlier in their career had a bunch of research scholarship heft. So I think we'll know that by Thanksgiving. And that's the only question. So I think I landed this plane right on time.